Respected leaders, I'd like you all to imagine embarking on a journey, not just across geographical borders, but into the heart of one of the world's most welcoming and vibrant business landscapes. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take you on a journey today to explore doing business in Canada, a country renowned for its natural beauty and its extraordinary tapestry of people. So to understand Canada, let us take a look at its cultural profile. So in Canada, English and French are its official languages. Things like politeness and direct communication are aspects that are very important, especially because it is a very diverse country with many different ethnicities, many different languages spoken. And understanding the cultural norms of this country is going to be extremely important in building a strong rapport with different businesses and building lasting relationships. Politeness is extremely important, including non-verbal communication such as having a good handshake and making eye contact in any standard greeting. So now that we have a general overview of Canada, let's get into the meat of things, which is the business aspect of it. There are 4 things we need to take note of here. The first is values, language, context, and formality. Let's start with values. Canadians embrace diversity. It is a multicultural nation. Respecting these diverse backgrounds and perspectives is essential into building a good business relationship. Openness to differences of culture and tradition is a fundamental value to have. Politeness and respect is also extremely important to the people of Canada. So because of that diverse background, they value courtesy, being respectful in communication. So incorporating words like please and thank you in daily interactions is extremely beneficial. Next is language. So as I mentioned earlier, Canada has 2 national languages, 2 official languages, English and French. So understanding the linguistic diversity is important because different regions speak different languages, different businesses use different languages, and it may influence the way we communicate with different businesses and our business practices. Third is context. Canada has a cultural mosaic that includes many different ethnicities, different languages, and different cultural backgrounds. So understanding and respecting that diversity is important because it is as ingrained in business as it is in life. So it impacts business practices and Canada's work culture as a whole. That leads to the next point regarding work culture, which is work-life balance. In Canada, work-life balance is very highly prioritized, which may influence many business practices. So understanding and respecting the importance of personal time for many employees and workers in businesses is important, and it has to cater for flexible work arrangements as well. Next is formality. So here there are also 2 things to consider. The first is the use of first name basis. So addressing colleagues and different business partners by first names is actually something that happens in most Canadian business settings. So you have a relaxed and an approachable atmosphere unless specified otherwise. So entering relationships and maintaining relationships with many different stakeholders in Canada is relatively easy. But dress code does play an important role in this. So it varies by industry, but for the most part, business casual is common. But regional expectations also add into factor of what is appropriate. It's often better to be slightly overdressed than underdressed in any initial meetings at the very least. Now, another very important aspect that I mentioned earlier is non-verbal communication. For that, there are 4 things I like to consider: gestures, punctuality, personal space, and touching. So like I mentioned earlier, a firm handshake and eye contact are extremely important as they show confidence and attentiveness, so avoid any excessive gesturing or any aggressive gestures. Just a good handshake and making eye contact. Punctuality is also highly regarded, showing your respect for others' time and others' schedule. Canadians have a relatively larger personal space bubble, so maintaining relationships is relatively easy, and it's also important to take into consideration for making effective business impactful decisions. Last but not least, touching. Limit physical contact as much as possible and respect people's personal boundaries as is most common courtesy. Now for the next part, I would like to gladly pass over the floor to my partner who is going to explain some tips for successful business communication in Canada.
Thank you very much for passing over the presentation to me. So we're going to start with the tips for successful business and communication in Canada. We're talking about the most top tier countries in the world. So first and foremost, embrace diversity. Embracing diversity is from the perspective where we value and respect others people's backgrounds and tradition. We're talking about much, much, much of ethnicity and races. Races from all over the country, all over the world. We are going to work with them, and we have to promote an inclusive and an open-minded work environment. So this will help you build a connection with your colleagues. Second, polite and courtesy. Prioritize politeness, courtesy, and respectful communication. You know what? Because not everyone has a very big mental capacity. We're talking about mental health here. So, using the phrases like please and thank you for every task done together, this will help them to maintain a friendly and respectful tone between each other, because we are working in an organization, so we need to these are actually the basic decency that you have to do with your colleague to maintain a good relationship with them. So, third, clear and direct communication. Be clear, direct, and transparent with your communication, because we have to avoid vagueness and be honest and straightforward. Because if there's vagueness in you trying to convey messages, this will lead to a problem to the organization. And the fourth, punctuality. You need to arrive on time, because for meetings, people need punctuality, because we have to be on time where we can actually receive the inputs and the outputs of the meeting on time, so we don't miss a thing. We have to respect each other's schedule, because if we're gonna be late, if we're gonna show up late to work, this will cause a problem for us and the organization itself. Fifth, efficiency. Canadians value efficiency, communication, and decision making. Keep meetings concise and productive. You can see that these Canadian people, are very, very, very strict with efficiency. So that you, as a colleague in the organization, you have to be very concise about it. 6. Adapt the informal workplace. Address colleagues by their first name and adopt casual and approachable demeanor to build positive relationships. You don't want to be very, very, what do we say? You don't want to be very, very rude towards each other, because Canadians are very nice people. Yeah, and you don't want to break that thing. 7. Multilingual environment. Be open to various language and dialects. If possible, learn some basic French and phrases. If in a French-speaking region like Quebec. So, Canadians prioritize English and French. So, meaning that we have to have basic French. Je parle seulement français. Yeah? So, we have to learn French and, get used to the environment. 8. Respect personal space. This is one of the most important points. Maintain a comfortable distance during the conversations, and respecting personal boundaries. Some people only consist work is only at workplace. Out of workplace is a different matter. So at work we have to be very, we have to be formal. We have to respect each other's personal space. Outside of the working place, also the same, but we can be more open. We don't have to be always straightforward, and we can joke around outside of the working environment. 9. Handshakes and eye contact. Use a firm handshake and maintain eye contact to convey confidence and attractiveness. Confidence is the key if you want to look confident and if you want to look more attractive. But in the working environment, we have to maintain the confidence, because this is like confidence is actually the major point for people to be interested in working with you. Because if you don't have the confidence in your talkings, in your body language, people will be like very, very skeptical about your ability to finish the work. 10. Time management. Understand the prioritization of work-life balance and encourage reasonable working hours. In Canada, they prioritize very good work-life balance, because this is to maintain the sustainability in yourself. Because if you're going to work over hours, this will affect your mental health too. Because prioritize yourself, prioritize the company, and you'll do good. 11. Relationship building. Foster a strong working relationship through a friendly and collaborative atmosphere. You don't want to be all messed up in the environment, because if you do, you're not going to create a good relationship between your colleagues, and this will create a major problem in the organization. 12. Openness to change. Be adaptable and open to new ideas and innovation, as Canadians appreciate progressive approach in business. There's a lot of things that we need to touch. We need to consider in being open, because these are actually the main factors of people to be investing in your own company, in a Canadian's company. So you don't really want to be like very, very close-minded and conservative about it. So I think that's all from my presentation and my partner. I hope you get a lot of input from this Canadian business, and I hope that this will lead you into having a lot of prospect in communication and successful business in Canada. Thank you very much, and have a pleasant day ahead.